Shelling and explosions overnight in Ukraine. War is Russian peace. The Kremlin hires more murderous African mercenaries to keep up the aggression in Ukraine. Sweden stands for Ukraine firmly. Record-breaking military aid package. Good afternoon to this and more news in today's wrap-up on UATV English with me, Henry Keane, breaking out truth in easy terms for the whole free world directly from Ukraine. In Kharkov and its vicinity, several blasts were reported overnight on May 30th. Russia continues to be what it always was, a terrorist country. The city was rocked by a series of explosions that occurred after 2 in the morning. Kharkov is very loud. Be careful, the city mayor wrote on his Telegram channel. This night, Russians, with the help of C-300 missile, hit a children's equestrian school in the vicinities of Kharkov. The whole building of the arena itself, the stables and the service building were completely destroyed. Luckily, the animals were evacuated 2 weeks before the shelling.
I ran here. Here is a metal arc. See, it was welded here on the ground, placed there by a crane. It would not have been so deformed by the temperature. There had never been such a temperature. And from that side, there is a wall. Concrete steps were also hit. And we counted 6 strikes in total in the nearest town.
However, not only the frontline border city of Kharkiv was under fire this night. Russians also launched drones and rockets at Starokonstantinov and Khmelnytsky region. Ukrainian Air Force reported the detection of Shahid drones, which the Russian forces launched at Ukraine on the night on May 30th. The alert was initially triggered in the south of the country. Later, it became known about several more groups of attacking drones, and the air raid alert covered most of Ukraine then. Also, 7 enemy Shahid drones were sent over Dnipropetrovsk Oblast at the district of Kryvyi Rih, Sinelnikovo, Pavlograd and Dnipro. A private house and a power transmission line were damaged. I could have given you more pictures of debris, ruined buildings and lives, but the only thing you really need to know is that nothing really changes for Russia. It continues its criminal deeds in Ukraine. We hear Putin saying Russia wants peace. And indeed it is true. Of sorts, only it is Russian peace that Russia wants. A peace where everyone fears Russia because it is a terrorist state that has a nuclear club. A peace where Kyiv belongs to Moscow, Ukraine belongs to Russia, and Russia belongs, that's right, to Putin. The world is okay with that, and we in Ukraine start to call this outrageous bloody warfare of an indicted Russian thug a special military operation, and forget all of the atrocities. Like we forget Bucha, Irpin, Kherson, that is Russian peace. The problem for you, dear European user, is that if Russian peace is not stopped here in Ukraine, very soon you will learn what Russian peace actually is. When bombs and drones and missiles would fall onto your European heads in Poland, Baltic states, Moldova. However, some things really are forever, so Russian lies, for example. So during those pauses in bombings and constant shelling, you still will be hearing Putin talking about peace. Russia hires Africans, a mercenary folk that the Kremlin hires to be then sent to war in Ukraine. I'll quote Bloomberg for you. The Afrika Corps, which controversially shares the name of Adolf Hitler's expeditionary force, aims to enlist new recruits and former Wagner fighters by mid-air to deploy to at least 5 Russia-friendly countries: Burkina Faso, Libya, Mali, the Central African Republic and Niger. Wagner was technically disbanded following Prigozhin's death, but remains active. End of quote. Indeed, the terrorist state of Russia has significantly intensified its campaign to recruit more terrorists as foreign mercenaries for the war against us in Ukraine. Russia is actively recruiting manpower in Central Africa, in particular in Rwanda, Burundi, Congo or Uganda. A specially created division of the Ministry of Defense of Russia is engaged in this recruitment of Africans so they could be sent right into the meat grinder, so-called meat assaults on Ukrainian soil. Mercenaries are lured with an initial cash payment of just $2,000 for signing a contract and promises of monthly installments of $2,200 plus health insurance or minus and a Russian passport for the soldier and his family members. For some, it is enough. Worth mentioning, though, that mercenaries from Nepal, earlier recruited by Moscow, deserted en masse due to numerous losses and the brutal racist attitude of Russian field commanders. Well, it's because brutal racist Russian field commanders are nothing but a copy-paste of their chief brutal racist thug Putin, just at a smaller scale. Newly recruited Africans are surely to learn that very soon, if they get to live that long enough, of course. Ukraine will receive Swedish reconnaissance aircraft with early detection radars for the first time since the beginning of the full-scale war. These machines will be provided by Sweden as part of a record-breaking military aid package worth more than 1.3 billion.
Ukraine is in great need of strengthening its air defense. We have had intensive talks with the group of countries that cooperate within the fighter jet alliance, how we could best strengthen the Ukraine air defense. In addition to this, the government is still working on the possibility of being able to contribute with the Gripen system at a later stage. But the signal that we have received from the countries that are part of the fighter jet alliance is that it is difficult for a country that is at war to introduce two fighter jet systems of the fourth generation at the same time. Paul Johnson, Defense Minister of Sweden.
Aid package will also include various weapons and aircraft, but surely the ASC-890 Airborne Early Warning and Control System equipped aircraft is a gem. No doubt about that. Here is why in easy terms. Ukraine will receive 2 aircraft equipped with advanced radar systems capable of detecting and tracking objects over large areas. As objects, we are talking about fighter jets, helicopters, cruise missiles, and even naval targets. The Swedish ACS-890 radar was developed in the early 1990s, however, has been regularly updated ever since, meaning that it is a modern system now. This is why these birdies can identify cruise missiles, drones and targets both on land and at sea. Journalists have already compared the Swedish planes to Russian A-50 long-range radar detection and control aircraft, which the occupiers used to strike Ukrainian cities and civilian objects. It's worth recalling that the Ukrainian army has already destroyed 2 such Russian aircrafts. These aircraft are intended to complement and enhance the work of the F-16 fighters that allies to provide to Ukraine in the near future. Simply put, the ASC-890s are to become the eyes of the US fighter jets. It's very important not to only have eyes, but to keep them open for reality. 2 years. The world needed 2 years of Ukrainian unspeakable suffering to finally get to understand our truth in easy terms. Putin won't stop unless stopped. And today we in Ukraine thank Sweden for helping us to make this happen ASAP. That was it for today. For news and updates about Ukraine, better stay with Ukraine. UATV English is going to bring the hardest of truth in easiest of terms for you. Also, don't be shy to like, comment and subscribe. Your opinion and voice matters. Trust me, it helps Ukrainian voice in turn to be heard globally. Meanwhile, stay safe, tune for more and stand with Ukraine. Goodbye.